How we doing? I'd like to say congratulations to everyone who played my lineup tonight. It was a winner in every tournament, every double up, every 50-50. It was a successful night. The curse of the weekend is over, guys, and I'm looking to go on a 5-game winning streak this week. Monday to Friday, I'm going to be in the green. I'm calling it from now. I'm confident about it. It's just my system is really strong, and even today I consider a bad day. But even on bad days, if you stick to a system, you should win, right? Um, just to kind of recap the day a little bit. Um, I made a video earlier and I was saying that I love Jeff Teague today. And then when I did my live show, I was just ranting about Jeff Teague, Jeff Teague. I felt it. And normally when I have that feeling, the guys do come through. Every time I go hard about someone, they come through and have good games for the most part. Going back to Mahinmi, Paul George, Paul George, Mahinmi, Jason Smith. Um, there's always a player that I say, look, they're gonna have a good night tonight, um, and they end up going off. Fareed, I thought was gonna have a good night. He did not go off, but Jeff Teague, I was very high on today, and he ended up going off. Then I got hit with the curse of the chalk, right? Tim Hardaway and Ilyasova was supposed to be the great plays, but the person who benefited from Millsap and Bazemore not playing was actually Cephalosha, who hit about 9 times value for his price today. Definitely owe an apology to Blake Griffin. Even though I still think his stock is on the way down, I don't think Griffin is going to have these big point games against better teams, but the Knicks are easy to pick on. But he had a good game. DeAndre Jordan could have had a better game, but he didn't even play in the fourth quarter at all. It was a blowout. Fournier did okay. It took overtime to really push us over the edge, but Covington and Gobert, they did great. I wish I would have played Jeff Teague. I should have went with my gut. I had Peyton initially, but I felt that almost 8K for Peyton was just overdoing it, especially when I heard that Vucevic was playing. So I ended up going with George Hill because of the hometown narrative. I couldn't really find another point guard that was worth the money. But for the whole time, I kept saying Jeff Teague. I love Jeff Teague. So why didn't I just play Jeff Teague? It's just a silly me. That's fantasy sports for you. You know something is right and you go against it. But that's fine. Everybody won money who played this lineup. It was a winner tonight. The system shows that on weeknights when one, two, three, four players did not hit value tonight. But because it's under a system, we still pulled out and we won. And I'm going to go over my system in a couple minutes for those who are new to my videos. I just want to cover on this big lineup. When you pay up for big names, 50-50, they're going to hit. 50-50, they're not, right? Westbrook only had 37. Harden had 72. So Harden was the one out of the two that you needed tonight to win. This lineup. Shout out to Rashawn Holmes. I knew that Holmes was gonna have a good night. I didn't think he would drop a 50 bomb. I thought he would have been more in the upper 30s, lower 40s, but he had a 50-point night, which is great, man. Stauskas had a great night. Shout out to Tim Hess. That was his call. He loves. I guess he's a Philly fan and he knows Philly's system, and he called it, and they did well. Um, Vucevic, another no-brainer. The same price to DeAndre Jordan, I wouldn't have mind. Well, he's a little. DeAndre Jordan was actually cheap. He almost hit value. He hit 5 times value for the most part on a game where he didn't even play the entire fourth quarter. But a decent center against Philly should always be a no-brainer. Vucevic did hit value, so that's what's up. And that's it. That's the breakdown. Again, congratulations. I'm gonna explain my system and then get into tonight's breakdown. Okay. So when I pick players, I shoot for 6 times value. I look for players that's capable of getting 6 times value. Players who are consistent for their price, getting 6 times value. So if I'm gonna pick Dragic, I need to see that he's been around the 48 mark for the past 10 games or so, and I kind of break down their log and just to make sure that they're consistent for their price. And then if I come up with 12 players who all are fit in the consistency and the capability of 6 times value, I pick the ones with the highest upside. And then what happens is if you multiply 6 times 50, it's about 300. You're either going to get a little bit over 300 or a little bit under 300. And the reason I really like that system is a lot of times guys have bad nights or have extra good, great nights. The ones that exceed is going to carry the ones who do not exceed, right? But for the most part, against the competition, these people are kind of gambling, picking low price players that they want to hit high or high price players who they think will hit high. So when you stick to the system, you kind of float in the middle of that craziness and you almost guaranteed to win money every night. So that's what I discovered playing this game, and I'm successful more times than not. I have been doing these videos. You can check the comment sections. You can see that we have a culture of winning. I've been doing this for 2 weeks, and I can count on one hand the amount of losing nights that we've had so far. So I'm looking to continue this winning night. I'm going to get into tonight's slate. Looking at the Chicago-Toronto game, Cameron Payne is questionable. I'm going to break down Toronto first, right? We're going to look at Corey Joseph. We need about 30 to hit 6 times value. He did make that the last game, but the couple games before that, he's been in the mid-20s. He can get into the teens. It's just a little bit too risky. And DeRozan is the leader of this team. I think it's more of a DeRozan team than anything else. So I'm not going to play Corey Joseph or his backup. Looking at DeRozan against the Bulls, um, at home, I don't hate it. It's just that we're looking for about mid 40s for his price, and he hasn't been in the 40s at all. And it's funny because the last time he hit 50, that's the only time that I played him. I just had a good feeling about that night, similar to how I had about Teague tonight. But he doesn't fit my system. I'm not gonna consider him. Moving on, Damari Carroll needs about 24. He's been up and down, 26, 17, 9, 33. And in 2 games against this team, he's played a whopping 40 minutes and only could pull down 17 points. So he is not up for consideration. Serge Ibaka could be up and down. He needs about mid 30s, and he hasn't hit the 30-point mark in a while as well. Valanciunas needs about 30, and in the last 10, he's averaging 28, which is not too far off from 30. This is a good matchup against Chicago, I would say, for Valanciunas. We know that the Bulls sucks against centers, but he just hasn't quite been consistent around the 30 mark. And he had a great game against Indiana that turned into a blowout. And I had him on that game, and he did hit 6 times value for his price, but I'm just not feeling it for tomorrow. I'm going to stay away from Valanciunas. Looking on the Chicago side of the ball, Rondo will need about mid 30s, and 13, 24, and 42 are his last 3 totals. In 24 minutes against his team, he's only put up 20. Um, he doesn't really fit what I'm looking for. Jimmy Butler needs about 50. I mean, he's been consistent. 47, 47, and 56. The 27, I can. One game is not something that would let me look away from a player. If he gets 45, that's 5 times value. That seems to be his floor. He played this team twice, but playing 41 minutes and putting up 58 points. So I mean, I can consider Jimmy Butler. He's been hot, and with Mondo in the starting lineup, I like Jimmy Butler more. Denzel Valentine will need about 27 to hit value. He has done that in one, two, just 2 of his last 4. He seems to be up and down as well. Um, Against Utah, he had 12 rebounds, which I think is a little strange. I'm not going to count on him having 12 rebounds again. Um, in 31 minutes against Washington, he only had 4 rebounds. So the rebounds are fake. I think it's a single time instant for him. I'm not going to bank on that twice. And another time he had 27 points. Again, he had 7 rebounds. So maybe he has a knack for crashing the boards. In 15 minutes against this team, he's only put up 10 points. He just hasn't showed me anything for me to consider him tomorrow. Mirotic has been pretty hot. He needs about upper 20s. He's averaging 29 over the last 10 games. That should say enough. In 33 minutes against this team, he already put up 30 points. And outside of his last game, the other 3 looks pretty well. And I really don't like to play power forwards against Toronto because of Ibaka. I think Ibaka is pretty firm down low. But because he's been consistent outside of the last game, and Utah is another matchup, he only played 17 minutes that game. I'm gonna consider him. Looking at Bobby Portis, it looked like Mirotic's game was affected because Bobby Portis took the majority of the minutes. So I'm gonna just not consider either one because it's like 50-50. I don't know who's gonna get the start, who's gonna get the most minutes. It's just a little bit risky. Robin Lopez needs about 24. We know that he went off for 45 against an easy matchup and then responded with 26. So I'm thinking they want to get Robin Lopez more involved. He's been getting some blocks recently. In 2 games playing 24 minutes against his team, he's only averaging 15.1. And I'm very particular about my centers. Most nights I play 2 centers in my lineups because I think centers, as we saw in Gobert tonight, centers are the position that can rack up points so quick, and they're almost guaranteed unless it's like a blowout or something. You know what I mean? Because they're getting every missed shot. The center is almost guaranteed to pull down the rebound. So if you have a center that can score 10 points, that's like a double double, especially if they're reasonably priced or they're the center of their team, like a force. So I love picking the center positions twice in my lineups. It's just a habit of mine that I think pays off well as well. So that's it. On the Chicago side, it's just Jimmy Butler. On the Toronto side, we kind of went over that. That's enough for that game. Brooklyn versus Detroit. Um, Kilpatrick and Harris are going to remain out. Jeremy Lin is questionable. Starting on the Brooklyn side of the ball, Jeremy Lin, let's see what's his issues. He's doubtful, so most likely he will not play. I did hear them say that Dinwiddie will be in the smart starting lineup for the remainder of the season. And for 3.8K, I'm not sure if I'm excited to even get Dinwiddie in the game. To be honest, he he's been playing minutes in the upper 20s and 30s, and he go from 33 to 15. So he's too up and down for tomorrow for my liking. Whitehead needs about 20, and he's been in like the low teens. He's coming off the bench. It's just hard to get to Whitehead as well. Archie Goodwin is coming from the D League. He's played 14 minutes for them, put up 10 points. He's too fresh. I don't know which way that can go. I need to see some stats, some consistency from him before I consider him. Karis LeVert needs 24. His last 2 games, he had 12 and 15. Quincy AC needs about 20 to make me happy tomorrow. 15, 27, and 17. Doesn't cut it. Hollis Jefferson needs mid 20s. 19, 18, 35, and 18. So I'm not going to chase that 1 game for him. Trevor Booker needs about 30. 11, 25, 28. And the upside is not really there. Even if he gets just around 30, he doesn't have any upside. I'm going to stay away from him. Brook Lopez, although it's the Pistons, I am interested in Brook Lopez for 6.5K. In his last 10 games, he's averaging just about 6 times value. That alone shows something. In 28 minutes against this team, he's put up 57 fantasy points. With Jeremy Lin out, they feed Brook Lopez the ball quite a bit. He's taking 18 shots per game, taking quite a bit of 3-pointers. His rebound numbers seems to have been going up. And he'll get you some assists. It looks like he can pass the ball. The thing is with him, he's consistent at least 5 times value. Right, 30s almost every game. 30s. If we omit this 1 game, he's 30s every game. All right, he has good history against this team. He's gonna get the minutes. I think this game could stay close. He's the primary scorer on this team. He fits my system. He's low price. He's a center. There's no reason for me not to like Brook Lopez, and I think he's going to be low owned against Drummond tomorrow, but I like Brook Lopez. He fits what I'm looking for. On the Detroit side of the ball, Reggie Jackson has been doing better, and we know that Brooklyn is a team to attack from a point guard standpoint. So I think he needs about mid 30s, but he hasn't quite cracked the 30 mark in the past 4 games. So I would like to call that inconsistent and not pick on him. Ish Smith needs about mid 20s. Same thing for him. He's been 20, 14, 23, 18. I'm going to stay away from Ish Smith. Caldwell Pope, needs about 30, mid 30s. He had 40 the last game, but the two games before that were 15 and 13. So it's a lot of inconsistencies. This is a matchup that favors him, and I think his ownership might be a little bit increased tomorrow. But he's too up and down for me. It could be his night, it could be Tobias' night, it could be Marcus Morris' night. So it's just not willing to risk it. Tobias needs mid 30s. He's had his has not hit 30s in 4 games. I've been playing him over the weekend and just trusting him, but he just can't seem to do well. It's like he does better off the bench. I don't know what that's about, but Marcus Morris needs about mid 30s as well. He hasn't cracked 30, so I'm gonna stay away from the Pistons. I'm sure one of those guys can break out and do well for me. John Lewis needs about 24 and 23, 23, 16, and 18 doesn't really impress me. Drummond, this is a good matchup, I would think, for Drummond. But in 25 minutes, he's only put up 22. He needs mid 40s, and he can go from 47 to 40 to 14 and 26. So if we get a 14 or 26 night, and he doesn't have good history against this team, I'm going to stay away from Drummond, and that's that game. Moving on to Phoenix versus Miami. Um, it's going to be an up pace game. Miami's been home. This is like their third straight home game. As far as injuries, Waiters remain out. Barbosa and Price are questionable. I'm going to start on the Miami side of the ball. Now, James Johnson had 2 games where he consistently fit my system, right? 49 and 34. The reason I'm not going to play him is the same reason I didn't play Barton tonight. Barton had a great night, but I'm not going to chase that. When a player comes off the bench, it's a disadvantage. And I know he's getting starter minutes in the 30s, but he's not starting the game, all right? So by the time he gets onto the court, there's so many different faces that the game could have taken already. The game could be just out of whack. I just don't trust it. I really don't trust playing up that high for bench players. So I'm not gonna play James Johnson. I think he's gonna be highly owned. I think with Dion Waiters out, James Johnson is the primary ball handler off the bench for Miami, but just can't get to it, man. I'm not comfortable doing that. Goran Dragic needs about 48. Now, if you know me, you know I like to play Dragic, but for that price increase, he went from 76 to 81. So that means he's gonna have to hit mid 40s. And he's done it twice out of the last 4 games. It's just that in a good matchup against Portland, he only had 32. And against Toronto, only 25. Against this team, he does have good history, 43, which is still not 6 times value. So I don't think the upside is there for that price. I am going to stay away from Dragic tomorrow. And Richardson and McGruder doesn't really impress me. If I had to choose one, I'll probably go McGruder. McGruder's showing more consistency. He'll when he gets the minutes, he's like anywhere from mid-teens to probably 20s. But Josh Richardson just played 32 minutes and only gave me 18 fantasy points. I think he's more used for his defense. He's a defensive-driven player, and that doesn't win money in fantasy sports. And Hassan Whiteside is someone that I am interested in, but again, I'm gonna need 50 from him for his price, and that's just no upside with it. His best game is 54. So if he gets 50, I'm happy, but that's just 6 times value. I can budget my money better and get players with better upside. So I'm going to stay away from the Heat against Phoenix, although they look to be in a very good position. On the Phoenix side of the ball, Ulis might be highly owned, but I'm not getting to him for that price. I just can't. He's a rookie, and Um, he needs 40s in the last 4 games. We know that he's gonna get a ton of minutes, and with the minutes he has been doing well. I just think Dragic can slow him down defensively. I don't know how to put it, man. I just don't. I don't want to pay 7K for a rookie guy who's filling in. We know that when players assume new roles, they do well. He already had 3 games doing well. Miami had a couple days to look at some film. I think the scouting report is going to be out. They're going to clamp down on him. I don't think Ulis is going to go to Miami and do damage for that price. All right. When he was cheaper in the 6 and 5 thousands as a starter, yes, but now he has the price of elite players. For 7.3K, you can get a lot of better options than Ulis tomorrow. So I'm going to stay away. Devin Booker is considered questionable with an ankle injury. Even if he plays, I'm not paying 7K for him. He hasn't been in the 40s in the last 2 games. He's been in the 20s. If I get 20s for that price, I'm going to be upset. TJ Warren needs 40s. He's been in the 40s 2 out of the last 4 and then 35. Against Miami, he played 16 minutes, only got 3. Miami's a very good team defensively. I don't really want to pick on them. Allen Williams, I know that when it comes to centers, Miami can be generous, but he needs about mid 30s, and he's been in the 30s consistently. We know that his minutes will be there. Um, but again, he comes off the bench. Alex Len may be the guy that you want for tomorrow. I need about 24 from him. He's been 21, 33, 19, 19. In 15 minutes against this team, he put up 24 points. So Alex Len might be someone worth consideration. I'm not going to pull him over because I like to be very confident in the centers that I pick. So I'm not really too confident in Alex Len. And that's that game. Memphis versus New Orleans. Everyone is healthy. I'm going to start on the New Orleans side of the ball. Drew Holiday needs about 40, mid 30s to 40, and he's been doing that the last 2 games and decent matchups against Memphis. He's played 33 minutes and had 38. So one can argue that Drew Holiday's price is a little too cheap. It's just I can get to him. I can pull him over. He fits my system definitely. Jordan Crawford needs mid 20s. He's averaging mid 20s in the last 10 games. Just that he can be very up and down. He could go from 25 to 17, 21 to 15, and he comes off the bench. All right. Each one more has been solid for that price. He needs about low 20s. He's been in the low 20s 4 out of 4 games so far. He's getting minutes in the upper 20s. In 22 minutes in 2 games against this team, he's only averaging 8.8. So the history scares me. Um, I don't know if I can get to each one more. Solomon Hill's been really hot. He went off for 54 points and then followed it up with a 33-point game. The thing is, in the last game, he had 3 steals, so he can contribute 6 points to that, meaning that he would have been around 27, which is still 4 times value for his price. And the game before that, he had 2 steals. He's shooting the ball well, over 50%. He's rebounding, he's getting assists. In 31 minutes in 3 games, he's averaging 22.3. So Solomon Hill, he's getting 30 minutes per game. He's consistent. He has a high upside right now. I don't know if with the new acquisition up front that they're increasing his role. I mean, he's taking 8 and 13 shots. The 13 shots, I think he was just hot, so he kept shooting. The 8 shots is what he seems to average. I mean, he's showing some consistency and upside. I can consider him. I'll pull him over as well. And then with the Boogie and Anthony Davis, they cancel each other out. Davis will need 60. He hasn't really hit near 60 since Boogie's been there, unless Boogie sits or something of that nature. Boogie needs about 50s. He's been in the 40s and 30s, so they both decrease each other's value. I'm going to stay away from that. On the Memphis side of the ball, Conley is someone that I do like tomorrow. It's a good matchup for him. Um, his history against this team kind of sucks. In 2 games, averaging 35 minutes, he's only averaging 27 fantasy points. We need mid 40s from him. He's been mid 40s 4 out of the last 4 games. And his floor seems to be, oh my God, he's been in the 40s 8 out of the last 10 games. So that's enough for me to say he's consistent, man. He's hot. They were going through something for a little bit, but I think they're out of it. The playoffs are coming up. They're battling for some seeding. Um, I like Conley tomorrow. I like Conley. He can double digit assists. He can go off scoring. He seems to pull down boards. It won't be a lot of rebounds for him tomorrow, but I like Conley. I think Conley's pretty solid. I'm gonna pull him over as well. Um, Tony Allen needs 24. He hasn't quite been hitting it. I mean, he's been consistent in the low 20s, but the upside isn't really there. So I want to leave him alone. Vince Carter needs about low 20s, and he go from 23 to 9 to 15 to 41, all over the place. You don't want a player like that in your lineup, right? Zach Randolph comes off the bench. I'm not paying 5K for a bench guy. He needs 30, and he's had one 30-point game in the last 4. The others are 15, 23, and 24. So I'm going to leave Zach Randolph alone. Jermichael Green needs 24. And he can go from 21 to 38 to 17 to 15. And this is going to be tough down low. Mark Gasol, although the Twin Towers seems to be the new threat, I find that centers have been doing well against them. Mark Gasol needs mid 40s. Um, Again, he can be up and down. He can go from 32 to 50 to 48 to 35. So I'm not gonna pick on Gasol. In 3 games against this team, he's averaging 40 um minutes and 52.8 fantasy points. Okay, so he likes to play this team. It's just that he's been hot and he's been in the 40s quite a bit. His floor is about 5 times value. It seems like I can consider him. I'll pull him over and kind of weave it out as we go along. Let's look at and that's it. That's it for that game. Dallas versus Golden State. Everyone seems to be healthy except for Durant. Starting on the Golden State. Steph Curry, he's too up and down. We need 50s. He hasn't really been in the 50s. He's been mostly in the 40s. Or he can get down into the 30s. Dallas is a tough matchup for him. In 2 games, playing 30 minutes against them, he's averaging 33 points. I'm not really fascinated by that. Klay Thompson needs 40s. He had a good game today, but then yesterday or the last game was 29. The one before that 44, then it's 34. On a back-to-back, I'm going to stay away. Matt Barnes come off the bench. He needs 24. He can get 23, 17, 28, 31. So if I take out the 17, he seems to be consistent in the mid-20s. In 2 games playing 24 minutes against this team, he's only averaging 14 points. And Dallas plays defense, and Golden State's traveling not that far. I know driving, it's only a couple hours from Oklahoma to Dallas, but just going to stay away from Matt Barnes. Draymond, another one who can be up and down. He can get you 30s, and he needs about mid 40s. 3 out of the last 4 games, he's been in the mid to low 30s, so the inconsistency is very concerning. Zaza needs about 24. He can get you 17, 30, 14, 35. Way too up and down for my likings. On the Dallas side of the ball, JJ Barea is someone who's been sneaky as of late. He just hasn't quite showed me the consistency needed for me to really be interested in him at this time. Um, Computer is giving me a little bit of a hard time. Just closing out some programs to make it easier. So he can get you 35, 17, 28, 15. So he's up and down as well. He's coming off the bench and he's working his way back from an injury. His minutes are increasing. And I think Barea is sneaky. Coming playing a team that's coming off of a back to back. I think they give Barea more minutes than they would give Yogi because Yogi really sucks and he was the filler for Barea and Deron Williams. But Deron Williams is gone, so Barea becomes a new man in town when it comes to point guards. And I don't see why Dallas don't even start him. So it's a possibility that he might even start tomorrow. I won't be surprised. I can get to some Barea tomorrow. For 24 when he's showing some 30 upside. It's just against Brooklyn, a good team. Philly is a good team. Toronto. I'm going to hold off on Barea until he shows some more consistency, but Barea is someone to definitely keep an eye on. If they put word out that Barea is going to start and that word comes out before lock, I might jump all over that for tomorrow. Seth Curry's been struggling. He needs 30. He's averaging 17 over the last 10 days. That's enough for me to move on. Devin Harris for the minimal price, 17, 11, and 15. He's not quite pulling that 6 times value that I need. Harrison Barnes need mid 30s. One can argue that this is a narrative game, and I chased that already in George Hill today. I'm not going to do it here. In 2 games, averaging 30 minutes against this team, though, he is averaging 37 points. So the history is there. The history was there for George Hill today as well. I'm just not interested in Harrison Barnes. There's no real upside. If he does hit value, I don't think he'll get me into the 40s. I'm gonna stay away from him. Wesley Matthews needs 30. He hasn't quite hit that mark, and he has two 7 and 8 point games. So I don't know what's going on with his hip, but he might be going through something as well. Dirk needs mid 30s. In 23 minutes against his team, he's averaging 19 points. So I guess it's fair to say he's good for a point per minute. We know that his jump shot has been hitting very well as of late. He's taken about 15 shots per game. Um, Mid 30s. So let's see. One, two, three, four, five, 6 out of the last 10 games, he's been in the 30s. It's a little bit consistent. We could consider Dirk briefly. I'll pull him over. Nerlens Noel needs 30. 10, 23, and 18 is just not cutting it. So I'm going to leave him alone as well. Um, that's it for that game. Minnesota versus San Antonio. Now, injuries, everyone seems to be healthy. Minnesota probably wants this game more than San Antonio. I'm going to start with them. I am in love with Rubio tomorrow. Rubio needs about 42 to make me happy, mid 40s. He's averaging 42 in the last 10 games. His price is starting to go back down. It went down from 77 to 75. Now it's at 73. Why? Because he just had two tough-ish matchups, and he's kind of struggled. But San Antonio, we know, are generous when it comes to guards. Um, I think that Wiggins is going to struggle a little bit with Kawhi on him, and it's just going to leave Rubio and Towns to take over a lot of the opportunities. So I love Rubio for this price. Rubio is probably one of my lock players for tomorrow, and I'm going to see who I'm going to move to get him in. Definitely move Drew Holiday. I'm going to hold on to Mike Conley. Now, Rubio kind of struggled against New Orleans. Was it a blowout? Did he play all his minutes, or was he in foul trouble or anything? So he wasn't in foul trouble. He played 35 minutes. His assists were there. 14 assists. That's nice. And it was a blowout. So his shooting wasn't there. He's used to scoring in the 20s, and he only had 10 points. So 10 more points would have put him back in the 40s. I like Rubio tomorrow, and I'm going to hold on to Conley as well. Um, Shooting guard, Shabazz Muhammad needs about upper 20s. 31, 18, 28, 4, 7. He's playing about mid 20s for minutes. The person that I really like in this game, though, I must admit, is Brandon Rush because he's minimal price, but he's playing 30 plus minutes per game, right? And he's going up against a San Antonio team which can be a little bit generous to guards. And um, if he's starting at the two guard, in 31 minutes he scored 18 against this team, which is pretty much 6 times value for what we need. We know that I like to pay down for shooting guards. So someone that's on the floor for 30 something minutes that they only need 18, and for the last 4 games he's been between 5 and 6 times value. For his price, I'll take it. And I just have a good feeling that tomorrow, with Wiggins struggling, he'll take some more shots, more opportunities will be there for him. And I like the idea of rostering him tomorrow. I'm looking at his thing here. He had 6 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, and he made value. He's playing 39 minutes a game. Um, so I'm gonna consider Rush and pull him over and see if I can get to him as well. Um, Wiggins, I'm gonna stay away from. He's going against one of the best defenders in the game. 3 games this season, averaging 40 minutes against his team, only 21 points, and that says enough, right? Carl Anthony Towns needs about upper 50s. He hasn't really been in the 50s in the last 3 games. I don't like to pay up for players like him anyway. We're gonna move on. Gorgie Deng needs about 30. Um, in 3 games, playing 32 minutes against his team, he's putting up 34. We know that the minutes are gonna be there for him with the injury to B. Helixa. And as far as consistency, if I take out this 13-point game, so 29, 24, 30. Whenever he plays 30 minutes, he seems to do well. He just put up 36 against them. I don't see why he can't repeat that. I can consider Jang tomorrow, and I'm willing to take out Jimmy Butler because I'm not paying up for Jimmy Butler. That's just too expensive. I don't think the upside is there. Jimmy Butler to hit value have to score 50 for me. Okay, so to have high upside, he needs like 60, and he barely gets to the 40s. He had one 50-point game, and I really don't like to pay up for shooting guards. So I'm gonna put Brandon Rush where Jimmy Butler is. You gotta trust the system, guys. The system works. And then I'm gonna go with Gorgie Jang as the forward spot. All right. And moving on, Aldridge, Cole Aldridge has been getting more minutes. Well, not really. He sucks. I'm not gonna consider him. I thought he was with the injuries. They had someone else stepping in. I liked Adrian Payne in college. I thought he was gonna be good. Or Jordan Hill is who I think I was. No, he hasn't been getting minutes. There was someone else out on this team. So it looks like they're going small a lot, giving Shabazz Muhammad a lot of more minutes, and then switching over Jang to the center spot when Towns is resting and playing around with it like that. So I like Jang tomorrow for that reason even more. All right, on the San Antonio side of the ball, Patty Mills needs about 30. 28, 12, 26, 35, 33, 30. But we know he's been filling in a lot for Tony Parker. Against this team, 3 games, averaging 26 points, only 19.8. And Parker is back, so I'm going to be careful messing around with that as well. Parker only played 20 minutes because the game was a blowout, but he did very well in that game. I can't say he's been consistent, but let's see his history with this team. So in 2 games, playing 22 minutes, only 14.9 points. So that doesn't really cut the bill for me. Ginobili needs about 20. 7, 20, 19, 26, 37. So Ginobili is very frequently around the 20 point mark, which is pretty good value for his price. I can consider Ginobili. It's just that this team plays so good defense that but on any given night, Ginobili can give you 20 points, and he's coming off some rest. The only thing is my guard spots. There's no one that I'm not taking out Rush because Rush is a starter. He plays more minutes. And then Conley and Rubio are pretty much better options. I don't have any space for Ginobili. I'm gonna hold off, but I think he can return value for his price. Kawhi needs about upper 50s to make us happy. In 3 games, averaging 40 minutes, he's been in the 50s. Now, this is a game where I think the competition will be there and they will need Kawhi more. So if I was to pay up on a player tonight, it will be Kawhi. Let's see. Solomon Hill's been playing well. I'm not doing anything there. Yeah, I can't afford it. I don't think I'll be able to afford Kawhi tonight, but I love Kawhi for tomorrow. I think this is the type of game where he has to show up and overexert himself, right? Sacramento game was a blowout, and why would you risk Kawhi getting hurt? I wouldn't play him too many minutes. And he did struggle shooting. He was only 3 for 12. Um, but against teams that have big stars or teams that can challenge them, he's done well. Portland with Damian Lillard playing the way he did well against them. OKC, he didn't do too well against, but OKC is good on the wings with Oladipo and Roberson. Houston with Harden, you know he's gonna show up for that game. Minnesota, he's gonna show up for that game. New Orleans with the Twin Towers, he's gonna show up. Indiana with Paul George, he's gonna show up. So I think tomorrow's a show up day for him, but I'm not paying up for any players. I like a balanced lineup. And even if he does well, if you follow the system and you stick within the guidelines of the system, he's not consistent with 6 times value. So he doesn't fit my guidelines. So I can't get him in. So even if Kawhi goes off tomorrow, which I think he will, and we don't have him, we'll still be in the money because we stick to our system. And that's just my theory. That's how I think. Um, Aldridge needs about mid to upper 30s. He's been in the 30s consistently. In 3 games, playing 36 minutes, 31. I'm just not gonna get to Aldridge. I don't think the upside is there. He's not gonna get you high into the 40s, and he can land you in the 20s quite often. David Lee needs a upper 20s, 24, 4, 19. So he's up and down as well. He doesn't start. Pau Gasol is worth consideration. He needs low 30s, 30, 20, 23, and 41. So he's been up and down. And as a center, I don't think I can get to Pau Gasol tomorrow either. All right, and that's that game. Portland versus Milwaukee. Um, Beasley and Antetokounmpo is questionable. That's interesting. Let's check it out. Antetokounmpo, he's dealing with a right ankle from Saturday. It occurred in the fourth when the game was already out of reach, which left Jason Kidd with the easy decision to rest him for the remainder of the contest. Um, we all know how I feel about Antetokounmpo. He's gonna land you in the 40s on any given night. Um, for somebody to be 9.4K with game totals of 26, 46, 30, 31, 36. I just think that's ridiculous. I'm not. It's just overpaying. I'm not gonna do that. Brogdon needs about 30, 32, 18, 23. He's two up and down all over the place. Dellavedova needs about 20. He's been 9 and 16, so he's out the question. Tony Snell needs 24. He's been 19, 13. Not interested. Middleton needs mid 30s. He's been 20, 33, 30, 21, all over the place. I'm not interested. Terrence Jones, they're yet to play him, and I don't blame them. The guy sucks. Talatovic, he needs the minimum 18. 15, 13, and 19 does not make me happy. Greg Monroe needs mid 30s ish. 24, 31, 28, 22 is just not cutting it for Greg Monroe. So on the Portland side of the ball, it's hard to ignore what Damian Lillard is doing, and I get it. We need about 50 from him. 62, 44, 50. That's his last three. Then he had a 37 game, then 51, 46. I would say he's pretty consistent within my system. In 39 minutes against this team, he's put up 50 already. He's going to try to will his team towards this playoff spot. So, um, 88 for him. In his last 10 games, he's averaging 48, which is okay. I just don't think there's much upside for that price. Again, if he does well tomorrow, it won't kick us out the green because we stick into our system. I'm not trying to take down a tournament. It's too difficult. It's like playing a lottery. You can't predict. You have to be a shark and enter 150 lineups or get really lucky. And I'm not into that tomorrow. So Damian Lillard, I like my guards that I have with Rubio and Conley. Um, I wouldn't mind paying up on from Conley to Damian Lillard though, and I do have the money to do that. So yeah, that's worth consideration, definitely. So it looks like I might can get some Damian Lillard in. And, I think whatever Conley does, Damian Lillard can do easily. His floor is 37, which would be how much? 4 times value. That is kind of scary, but at home in the position, I think he's definitely in the 40s tomorrow. I don't see why not for Damian Lillard. Love Damian Lillard tomorrow. Okay. Um, McCollum needs low 40s. He's been 30, 43, 39, 14, 40, 45, up and down. In 38 minutes against this team, he's put up 35 fantasy points. So I'm not quite sure I can get to McCollum tomorrow. Um, Evan Turner just came back from injury. He needs 24. And since he's been back, he's gotten us 12 and 18. So not sure if I can get there either. Harkless needs 24. He's been 12, 28, and 10. Um, Someone I like in this game a lot is Von Lay. He needs just 20. And he's been 22, 22, 24. All right. Against this team, he hasn't played them, but he's another one. He's getting a lot of minutes. And they've been winning with him in the starting lineup, doing well. So I can definitely get to some Vonleh. It's just that who would I take him out for, right? It really doesn't make sense. I already have strong players around him, so in my lineup. So, but Vonleh is a good value play. It's probably the most guaranteed 6 times value that you're gonna get is from Vonleh. I mean, if you get 20, you're happy. And I think he can get you that. So if you have like this big power lineup where you're trying to take down a tournament and you just want a spot for somebody low, you can give Vonleh a shout. He'll probably help you. Nurkic, it's hard to ignore him. He needs just about 40. He's averaging that in the last 10 games. He's cheaper than Gasol. 43, 44, 39. The 10 game, if we ignore it, we can get to 33, 24, 81. Um, and these have been all on the road. They went from Miami, had a day off. So they went from one edge of the country on the southeast to the other end, back up on Portland on the northwest in a day rest. Milwaukee games are kind of weird. They always end up like with weird results, man. Sub 7K Nurkic. I could take that over a 7.5 Gasol. You know, I think they get you similar numbers. Um, Nurkic in 30 minutes is averaging 39.4 over the last 10. Gasol in 34 minutes is averaging 37.3. So let's put them next to each other and see who has the better matchup, right? So Gasol and Nurkic both have good matchups. But one is 600. So I'm gonna go with the cheaper option and see if I can maximize on this lineup. I'm just pairing up Lillard and Nurkic at home. The way that they've been playing, I think that's not a bad idea. Um, Continue on the Portland side. That's it. I think that's the entire slate. We got one more game. Lakers versus Clippers. Clippers on a back to back. I want to say I love DeAndre Jordan for that price. In 2 games, averaging 31 minutes, he's put up 42.1 fantasy points. I just don't know these Lakers game, man. I think I don't know. It's a back to back. He didn't play a lot of minutes today. He didn't play the entire fourth quarter, and he doesn't have to travel anywhere. It says it's an away game, but it's still Staples Center. This guy's going from 40 to 50 to 24 to 59, man. So the upside in the 50s, and today was like the slowest game ever for him, and he very easily just cruised to a and a very slow paced game. I think the Lakers are gonna want to push a little more. He cruised to 34. He did not work hard for that 34. He was 14 and 10. 10 is the he's you know I think I'd rather DeAndre Jordan than Nurkic. And a better matchup, a up pace game. Hopefully the Lakers come out hot and not get blown out. It's hard to see the Clippers. I'm gonna go DeAndre Jordan. He was my favorite play for today, and just to watch that game and see how easy he got to that 35. He really did not work hard for it. The lobs are gonna be there. The rebounds, they're gonna be a lot of rebounds against the Lakers, who throw up a lot of wild shots. Clarkson always throwing up shots. Russell. It's gonna be a lot of blocks with this what's this guy name? Zubac. Very young. A lot of young players make young mistakes, and I want to see. I want to put DeAndre Jordan, and we're gonna do some research, right? We're gonna look at Lakers game and see what the score has been and who they have been playing. So Milwaukee plays tomorrow. Um, Phoenix plays. San Antonio plays. So Milwaukee, Phoenix, and San Antonio. Milwaukee, Phoenix, San Antonio. Right. Let's look at some centers. Let's see. Allen Williams against the Lakers. 22 minutes, 36 fantasy points. Okay. Let's see what Len did. Len played them for 22 minutes, a point per minute, 19. And the Lakers blew them out. It's crazy. And the Lakers coach got them playing hard, so I think they can give the Clippers, a hometown rival, a run for the money. And I think that'll be a good game. Let's see, Pau Gasol against the Lakers. I just don't want that game to be a blowout. I'll be upset. David, it didn't seem like he played. Let's see if David Lee played that game. It's weird. Let's see what Milwaukee. Greg Monroe. I know Greg Monroe was having a good game, then he got ejected. So in 16 minutes, Monroe put up 31. Love DeAndre Jordan tomorrow. I'm not moving DeAndre Jordan. All right. So that's it. That's it for the slate. On the Lakers side of the ball, DeAndre Russell just went off big time. I'm not gonna count, but the games before that, 19, 11, and 23. Chris Paul's not gonna allow him to do that to him. I don't think so. Clarkson, these mid 30s. Clarkson 31, 34, 28, 26. I'm not interested in that. Nawaba for the minimum sucks. Brandon Ingram, he's 30. His price been going up because of how consistent in the mid to upper 20s he's been. In 29 minutes in 2 games, he only put up 23. I'm not paying 5K for rookie Brandon Ingram. Julius Randle needs 40s, 29 and 30, 44, 21. Just too inconsistent. Larry Nance comes off the bench. He disappointed me the other night. Zubac needs about 30. And I thought they wanted to have him play 30 plus minutes. He only played 19 minutes against Cleveland, 29 minutes the game before. He's too up and down, and I'm not risking a center spot for him. So that's the slate. We finished it with some money to spend. So Brook Lopez, who did I move? I moved Gasol from down here. Um, let's see here. Nurkic or Brook Lopez, right? So let's kind of look at that because so Brook Lopez going up against Drummond. I mean, in 28 minutes, he's put up 57. I can't count on Brook Lopez doing 57 again. And he's consistent in the 30s. He might get you into the 40s, but his floor. He's pretty much consistent in the 30s, and the matchup is not ideal. This guy is consistent in the 40s, and the 30s seems to be like his floor where he settles out. So I'm gonna go with Nurkic and DeAndre Jordan as my center options for tomorrow. Um, Lillard again. He doesn't really fit my system, but if he can, he's already put up 50 on this team. 30 points. He didn't get any steals or blocks. What, 6 assists and 7 rebounds. He's putting up 40 points in some game, and then 27 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 36 points. I think Damian Lillard is safe tomorrow. I love Damian Lillard tomorrow. Jang is safe. Dirk. If I had to go up on someone here, maybe Solomon Hill. 56 for a small forward. Let's see what our small forward situation look like. I might hold on to Solomon Hill because there's no small forwards that I really like. I like Kawhi, but I can't pay up for him. TJ Warren 40s, that's too expensive. Harrison Barnes is 63. I wouldn't mind getting to Harrison Barnes if the price was just right. I think his floor is around 5 times value, but he doesn't really fit. Middleton, if Antetokounmpo is out, might be interesting, but I don't know. I don't really love too many small forwards on this slate, to be honest. I think I'll stick with Solomon Hill playing all those minutes. Um, we know that he's putting up like 9, 11, 17, but right now he's doing well. He has a lot of confidence, so the team is going to feed him the ball. They're going to keep it going against Memphis at home. Can't say I love Solomon Hill either. I'm gonna hold on to Dirk. I think Dirk can. I'm gonna get rid of Dirk, right? I'm gonna get rid of Dirk. I'm gonna put Jang up as the power forward, and then 76 for a forward. Mm. Is Brandon Rush's small forward eligible? So let's move Rush to where Solomon Hill. I'm just trying to get a nice lineup that I am comfortable with that doesn't compromise my system. So if we do that, then a two guard, 88. Um, sucks. I really don't like. I mean, Eton more, but for all that, I might as well put back. Love Brandon Rush tomorrow. I think Brandon Rush tomorrow is in a good spot. Throw some Ginobili and a forward for 81. Is that worth it? Who's available? Blake Griffin against the Lakers. I just went on a rant saying that his stock is down. I don't love Griffin tomorrow. Rubio, we're gonna get Rush back in. We're gonna stick to the system. Right? The system like Rush at the two, and the system like the system like who was it? I don't know, Solomon Hill. Right, we're gonna stick to what works, right? And then a forward. So my thing is get someone that falls within my system, and then I don't want to pay up for this guy. I really don't, right? But in this matchup with his high pace and him getting 30 minutes with Dion Wade is out, I'm gonna take that gamble. I'm gonna go James Johnson. I know I say he's a bench player, he's 6K, but since Wade has went down in 2 games, he's been in the 30s, right, and up and even 40s. And he does everything. There's not a line that he does not fill up when he plays a lot of times. Now, is he gonna get 2 blocks and 2 steals? I think Phoenix is a team that yes, he can do that. They're young and just throwing up shots. So even if we take away 8 from this, it's still 40, right? I think the rebounds are gonna be there, some assists. Um, it'll just sucks. It'll suck really bad if we get like a 18, 22, 29. But Dion Waiters being out makes me feel okay playing James Johnson at home tomorrow. I'm okay with that. So I like how this is looking so far. DeAndre Jordan, James Johnson, Damian Lillard, Nurkic, Gorgie Jang. Um, and then we can upgrade one of these two guys, right? So we have from 45 to $6,500. So let's see. Let's start at 65 and see if anyone stands out. Brook Lopez, I would like, but he's a center. Wiggins is gonna have a hard time. Jordan Clarkson, I gotta play him. He's starting. He's just around 30. We know that he can get hot and go off for more than that. In 24 minutes, he's putting up 20, so he's about a point per minute. And he's an upgrade for either one of these guys, right? So I don't see why not get Jordan Clarkson in there for like who can I get him in for? Nobody. Why did I 55, right? 55 to 45. Oh, so I'm way out my league. Let's go down. So Pau Gasol, Greg Monroe, Marcus Morris. That's tough. We need about 30 from him against Brooklyn as a starter. I mean, I know he's not gonna shoot 1 for 13, right? And then Utah was a hard matchup. Cleveland should have been a better matchup for him. Yeah, this guy's going through something, man. I don't feel right paying. I mean, for Brandon Rush, yeah, but Solomon Hill is showing that he can hold his weight into the 30s and whatnot, 20s and 30s. So to take out Solomon Hill and throw in a Marcus Morris would just be it will hurt me to do that. Seth Curry, he's been struggling. Trevor Booker. No. Corey Joseph's been playing better as of late. No, 32-27. He's a starter against Chicago. In 25 minutes, 20. We need about 30 from him. I still wouldn't take out Solomon Hill. I would have took out Brandon Rush for Corey Joseph, sure, but I don't know about Solomon Hill. I think Brandon Rush will just barely brush the 18 mark. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I have reason to believe that Rush do very well tomorrow, but he can definitely be upgraded. Bogdan Ingram. Ingram has been pretty safe. Um, Ingram for Solomon Hill. Would I want to do that? 55. 40. Let's see if we get something around the $4,500 mark. Shabazz Muhammad for Brandon Rush. We know Shabazz Muhammad is gonna get a lot of minutes. But still, the Spurs. It's like pick your poison, you know. Eric Bledsoe's out. Denzel Valentine in a better matchup. Um, I think he'll give me better than Brandon Rush for sure, right? He'll get the minutes. He seems to be attacking the boards. There's no Dwayne Wade. Is he starting? Who's starting for Chicago? Let's check it out. Oh, they have Jimmy starting at the two and Zipser at the three. No, I think they should start this Denzel guy. Zipser is horrible. Why is he getting so many minutes? He's shooting 4 for 11. What if I guess he plays defense. Is he a defender? I don't know, but I think that's it. Denzel Valentine. Hopefully we get lucky and he has one of those monster games because when we pick these players, we can't seem to get it. But then someone else picks them and they go off. If he's gonna be going up against so in 15 minutes 10, so if we double that, he's so 37, 20, 27, 21. We need 24. And I'm taking out Brandon Rush, who's been really struggling. 2 for 6. He's not getting up a lot of shots. Brandon Rush is pretty much playing defense for the most part, right? He's not really even trying to shoot the ball. Hollis Jefferson, not with Booker back. I think Denzel Valentine is what we're gonna go with. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take out Brandon Rush and go Denzel Valentine, and that's the lineup preliminary. So Valentine is someone tomorrow with injury news. I will try to shuffle around and get out. But other than that, I like it. Paying for James Johnson off the bench is really giving me a hard time. I mean, the last 10 games, he's averaging 5 times value, okay? He's showing 50 points. He just dropped a 50-point bomb. Even against Minnesota, which is a tough team, he made about 6 times value for his price. Phoenix is a much easier matchup for him. So no Dion Wade. It's a lot of reasons for me to like him. And for all that it matters, Will Barton just went off for another 50-point game today. So I think I can step out my comfort zone just a little bit. Get James Johnson in there. DeAndre Jordan, I love again tomorrow. Lillard, Nurkic, Jang. And then the weak spot is just around here. Solomon Hill and Denzel Valentine's, which are in both are in spots to play 30 minutes a game. Um, Denzel Valentine is 50-50, but against Toronto, mm, let's see. Let's see what injury news drop. This is my lineup so far. I'm gonna stick with it, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow.